Sorry to keep you waiting,
Yeah,
guys.
no worries. Hey, what is the significance of Jackie, especially right now?
Oh man, it's hard to put that into words right now. Just in Jackie Robinson Day has always been special. I've always, I think it was in 2015 maybe I was coaching for the Mariners, and we got to go to L.A. and we just happened to be in L.A. on Jackie Robinson Day. That meant a lot. Just to be able to see be in Dodger Stadium and just kind of feel the energy of that day. And every day since then, obviously, that I've been a part of Jackie Robinson Day, and I've always reflected on what he did for not only the game but our country, and just what came after that. And the beautiful thing about this game is how diverse it is now. It's incredible. But in the landscape of today, it's a whole different scenario, and I think we all have to kind of look back. And I've had conversations with Willie and a few guys of our staff and Taylor, and just talking about what he had to deal with and what they're having to deal with right now. It's obviously very significant. My heart pours out to everybody. Obviously our guys that are here and everybody around the league and in sport and just all across our country. Honestly, it's a very, very significant day, and I'm damn proud to have a uniform on with number 42.
We haven't talked to you since yesterday's game was postponed. What were your thoughts on just how everything kind of unfolded?
Yeah, it was an interesting couple of days for sure. A lot of conversations, a lot of individual conversations that we've been having, but obviously got thrust back into the forefront, and a lot more significant conversations in the last couple of days. There was a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, and just a lot of we don't have a clubhouse that's as I don't want to use the word unified, but they're just difference of opinions, in a lot of different ways. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. I think that, in society right now, everybody has a lot of different opinions on issues. And the one thing that I've stressed as, a leader of the team is we need to have those conversations, and we need to hear each other's, hear the arguments out. I think it's really important that we do that. Sometimes it's tough to have those conversations, and it's difficult, and unfortunately sometimes it takes something as what happened the last couple of days to kind of force those conversations to happen, because we had them early in the season, we had them in the off time, but I think they got put on the back burner a little bit. We were struggling as a team. It was more about baseball, and right now there's a lot of things that are bigger than baseball, and we need to have those discussions.
So how do you handle it moving forward?
Just continue to have them. Honestly, like we just we gotta keep talking. We gotta keep communicating with one another. Just because we don't all see eye to eye on every issue doesn't mean we can't have some common ground. And I think that in society right now, that everybody keeps pointing the finger, and if you don't have the same argument, or if you don't agree, you're the enemy. And we're trying to be bigger than society right now internally, and it's not easy. It's hard. It's difficult. Some guys may not want to have conversations, but they're kind of forced into them. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and we all care about each other. I know everybody in that locker room, cares about one another. So we're not going to let maybe our, ideologies or beliefs get in the way of caring for another human being. And for the guys that are hurting, we need to be there to support them.
Baseball-wise, Woody, you've got arguably the best team in baseball, and one that you have a history with. When you look at this Dodgers team, what challenges does it present to your team, and how can you use this to I don't know, maybe change the narrative for you guys?
You got to play well. You got to do things well. You got to execute, and I think you can't back down. And I love those guys over there, but they're not my friends right now. And Dave Vassay, I see on here, he's not my friend anymore. So I think that's we got to go head to head. Listen, it's a baseball game. I'm not going to get caught up in how good they are. They're a good team. I know them well. I know personally, how they play the game, and they do things well. A lot on what we're trying to accomplish. Honestly, So, today we got to take it to them. We got to, use a different phrase, but, we got to go out and punch them in the mouth early, let them know we're here, I guess. That's the best way you can handle that, and we just got to play consistent. We haven't for the first 30 games, so I'm hoping the second 30 we're better than the first.
Thanks, Wade.
Other questions, please? Chris?
So, just putting everything together, this is Jackie Robinson Day. This is the franchise, playing the franchise that we played for. This is the franchise that we coached for. Everything that's gone on over the last couple of days in the sports world, how have you been able to process the past 24, 36 hours and then going into tonight and this weekend series?
A lot of reflection. I mean, a lot of looking in the mirror, a lot of, are we doing the right thing, or am I doing the right thing? Are we talking enough about it? Are we talking too much about it? Like, just everything. I mean, I think there's a lot of pain. I personally feel a lot of pain, and I'm, trying to put myself in a lot of people's shoes right now, and just kind of feel their own pain. I think we all need to be empathetic to what's happening and how people are feeling. So, it's a lot of times I don't know what to think. I'm trying to guide a group of men to be in a better spot as a result of this, or to just address things that are tough to address. It's difficult. It's not easy. But at the end of the day, obviously I'm trying to lead with my heart and do the right thing. And I think, there's a lot of guys in that locker room that feel the same way. There's a lot of guys on the coaching staff that are doing that as well. So it's going to take all of us together, honestly, to get kind of through this in a positive light and help in any way possible. Because like I said, this is definitely an issue that's bigger than baseball. And to have Jackie Robinson Day basically today is pretty significant. It's I don't think I think it's something higher up that Jackie Robinson Day just happened to be today, honestly, to make us all aware.
But thanks, man.
Other questions? Alex?
Woody, you have the lefty Dustin May on the mound, and you have Mike Minor on the mound. Could have easily just gone with Jeff Mathis, who Mike Minor's comfortable with behind the plates, but instead Trevino's catching, Mathis is not playing today, and Chu's DHing. Was there ever a chance to have Mathis catching Minor, especially considering he has been improving?
Yeah, I gave that thought, obviously. I guess as well as Trevino's playing right now, I kind of wanted him in there. I know that, Mikey's, comfortable with all three guys. I know he's, I've tried to kind of match him up with Minor, Mathis a few times just for comfort purposes, but I'll have Mathis catching, I believe, on Sunday. So, yeah, it's something I definitely considered, but I didn't want to take Trevino out of the lineup just as well as he's been playing.
Do you have a discussion with Mike either today or before?
No, he said he's comfortable with all three guys. I've talked to a lot of our pitchers just to see their comfort level with our catchers, just to make sure if there's something that's significant there, that they feel really comfortable with somebody. If I can, I'll match it up accordingly, but this time I just felt like Trevino needed to be in the lineup.
Thanks, Woody.
Sam?
I'm curious, because you mentioned just it's tough to kind of coordinate, I guess, conversations when people have differences of opinions, and you try to elevate the discussion above what like you said, what's happening in society. I'm curious if you feel like if that's a successful effort that's happening now. Do you feel like players are happy? Do you feel like they're happy with the response from the organization?
I think so. It's hard to say happy. I don't know if there's anything happy about, with some of the feelings that are going on. That's not my goal. My goal isn't to come out of this and say, hey, we did everything right. My goal is to make sure we come out of this with more understanding, maybe, of our teammates and our counterparts, like understanding what they're feeling, and are we caring enough? Are we caring enough not only for the people in our clubhouse but outside of our clubhouse? I think that's what's more important to me. I don't think there's going to be a happy ending to any of this. I think we have to, there could be a togetherness that we didn't have maybe before that, maybe a deeper understanding of each other. Is my goal, and it's always been my goal. In baseball, the clubhouse has always been a place where we always put our differences aside. always. I mean, I played with so many different people from all over the world, all over the country, and that's always been a place that, we just left. We got along. We always, found a way. And right now it's as polarizing of a society as you can possibly have, with some guys sitting on both ends in our clubhouse. So we're trying to do better. We're trying to be the light to say, hey man, like things aren't going to be easy and may not be happy for a while, but we're going to hash it out and we're going to talk and we're going to discuss and get to know each other on maybe a deeper level than we did before. That's my intention for it.
Describe just the challenges of being a manager at this time and in that capacity, like you just described. I mean, obviously you can't necessarily relate to exactly what Willie and Taylor are going through, but you have to kind of mediate in some capacity. How tough is that? Just in terms of your role right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just be there for them, be there for all our guys, honestly, because it's not just a couple guys that are hurting. There's a lot of guys that are confused. They don't know how to feel. They don't know how to react to the situation. And so it's my job is to provide guidance, maybe a little bit of leadership in navigating these conversations, but also let them have them. I can't sit there in the middle of them. They have to discuss it themselves and to maybe facilitate it a little bit and then move out of their way. Honestly, it has to happen. Like these guys are men. Like they're not 12-year-olds. They have to kind of take it upon themselves. And unfortunately, everybody's having to grow up a little faster than we kind of wanted in some ways. And that's just the nature of society right now. And no, I mean I take everything like head on, and that's kind of the way. Obviously, getting into this role, I look at it as a challenge that at the end of the day, I have to stick by and lead with my heart and try to do what's right for the team. And that's the only thing I'm thinking about.
Thank you.
Other questions, please? Woody? Evan?
So from the time that you spoke with Willie and Taylor on Wednesday and everything came down yesterday, are you, for lack of a better term, I don't think anybody's ever satisfied, but are you content with the way the team has processed everything?
I don't know if content's the right word. I think it's an ongoing thing. So I don't know if there's no end in sight. And I don't want there to be I don't want there to be an end. We're trying to create a narrative that we keep moving. Like we're going to keep talking about this stuff. I've said it from day one. I don't want to stop having discussions. It's not an end goal to say, okay, we're good now. Let's just go play baseball now. Like we're going to have to process this stuff. Hopefully this year, next year. Like this is going to be ongoing. So just getting to know each other a little bit better can help, maybe facilitate a deeper conversation so we get to the root of some of this stuff as to why, people don't understand sometimes what people are going through. I think that's on all of us in society to do it. Fortunately, we have to cross paths every day. They can't go by their locker without seeing their teammate. Like in society, you drive by, you don't say anything to your neighbor. You have to do that here. And I'm trying to make those guys understand that's okay. It's okay to have a conversation and maybe not even resolve anything after an hour. But at the same time, maybe a little bit more about them. So you guys are, just constantly chipping away at some of the biases that we all have. And it's like, if we can do that, we're going to be better off. So then when we go into our families and we go into our areas that we live, maybe we can do the same thing there. And I think that's what has to happen in society. And it's hard. It's not easy.
And like he said, sometimes they have to have the conversations on their own. So did you feel like that took place Wednesday and Thursday? I mean, I don't know how much you're watching or kind of examining, but did you feel like those took place?
I do. Yeah, I do. And then, I don't know exactly to what extent, I'm not there constantly, around them. But talking to a lot of those guys, a lot of our leadership in our team, talking to Willie and Taylor personally, like, they have had conversations, and some of them are very difficult. Some of them weren't easy. Very, very tough, especially for a young kid to be composed enough to have dialogue back and forth. I'm 44 years old. It's easy for me to kind of have some emotional intelligence to downplay my emotions and, make sure that we don't get too heated, especially when we get passionate about ideas. Some of these guys are young, and they're just learning how to process this stuff, and they're being thrust into a situation where it's really difficult to have, and they're not quite sure exactly how they feel or where they feel, but they're passionate about it. And that's dangerous because we see in society, people can't handle themselves in society. It's point a finger and you're the enemy. We're trying to avoid that in our clubhouse, and it makes it for a challenging situation.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it.
Couple more here, Jeff.
So the unexpected off day, you kind of reset your rotation, or skip Jordan.
Yeah. So he'll pitch I believe on Tuesday, first day in Houston. So we just kept Minor and Lynn and Gibson on their same days.
So what's the goal for Jordan here in the next 5 days?
I guess to get things right. Like, I know he's been, talking a lot with our pitching coaches and trying to figure out a solution and things that he needs to obviously get better at and improve. So it's just a few more days, obviously, to right the ship, I guess, which I think will be a good thing for him.
Okay, thanks a lot.
David, welcome. Did you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, John.
Nice background, man.
Hi, Woody. I was just curious what your emotions may be in the dugout when you get out there on the field and see those guys that you know.
He's still on. Just listen to those.
Just wondering what you think those emotions will be like, and how much of an advantage do you believe you have knowing those guys so well?
I'd like to think I have an advantage, just knowing internally what they do and how they do it. Problem is, there's not a lot of solutions. That's kind of the way I've tried to, build things here, is to have a team that they can prepare all they want, but we're gonna still go out and execute. So it's tough. I do have a lot of friends on that side, and care deeply about a lot of those relationships. But it's gonna be weird looking across and seeing Dave and Bob and all those guys and all those players that I personally work with, had many heart-to-hearts with, for 3 years. But at the end of the day, between the lines, we're competitive, man. I want to win. So after that, after we beat them, then I can, maybe shake their hand and talk to them. But before that, we got a job to do, and that's to win a game.
How much do you keep in contact with some of your former players that you were close to?
Quite a bit, actually. They reach out to me quite a bit, just about little things. And, obviously we have a relationship first and foremost outside of baseball. Like, we care about each other. So it's there's a lot of personal things there. And then from the baseball side, some of them are baseball related, some of them aren't, conversations. I still talk to the staff quite a bit, usually via text or just how they're doing. And we're all busy, but at the same time, we shared a lot of bonds over those 3 years, a lot of heartache, obviously, with the couple World Series.
One more for Woody. Levi, last question.
So I might be asking you to solve a problem that is above your pay grade here, but I do want to get your thoughts on it. One of the things that we've heard, from Willie is that this is, and from Kyle Gibson as well, that this is not a political issue. In fact, that the teams, when they're having these conversations, they're doing their best to keep politics out of it and frame it as a human rights issue. And so, in that sense, that seems to me to be a moral issue rather than just the differences of opinion. So I guess twofold question: how do you juggle that difference? And then the second part of that, you've got. I think your clubhouse probably is representative of baseball writ large, in that it does have a diversity problem. We're down to, I think, 8% players are African American. What do you think that players maybe feel outnumbered when they're having these conversations? And if so, what can baseball do to improve the diversity in the clubhouse so that these conversations are maybe more well balanced? I don't know if that's the word that I'm looking for, but yeah.
So to answer your first question, I think it's unfortunate, but politics does get involved. It's hard to put that aside. From a moral standpoint, I think we all 100% agree. That racial injustice, we need to do better. Social injustice, we need to do better. So I think we're all in agreement on that. Now, some have, maybe differing opinions on how to do that. So I think, I've actually heard some really really cool arguments or just suggestions in how we can kind of improve that and get better. But I hate to say it, but the politics side tends to bleed into the moral side. And it's like trying to get that out is difficult. It's hard in society. It's hard in, obviously in our small environment in the clubhouse. So, like I said, just, I try to challenge guys to listen from the heart and not from, their ideology. Try to steer them, have their heart steer the conversation. And you typically can push that aside. It's difficult though, because guys are passionate. Guys are passionate, especially nowadays. You see it's so polarized on either side. So whatever their side is it's making it even more polarized in their mind. Maybe they're whatever network they watch on TV. Unfortunately, so it's hard. It's not easy. So I don't know what the exact answer is to try to get that out of the clubhouse, but our guys are trying. And I guess the best way to do that is to just talk. To not just, this is just going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's not even close to going away. So the only thing we can do is just, like I said, speak from the heart, be empathetic, be compassionate, do the things that can lead you to steering away from the political side. As far as the diversity in the clubhouse, we're a very diverse, baseball is probably, if you look at it as a whole, it's very diverse. When you look at all the different countries represented, but you're right, African Americans are at a minimum. They're just not as, I know when I first got into professional baseball, there was obviously a lot more percentage of African Americans, and I don't know if it has to do with other sports kind of taking over, some of the places where, I don't know if it's a popularity thing. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you, because we're not getting as many African Americans to play baseball, and I think it starts at the youth. I know that there's been a lot of initiatives to try to create more opportunities for them to play. From the younger ages. I think that's where it starts. That's where you build the love for the game, and you get these athletes that become baseball players. It's just I don't know what the answer is, but I know there's been a lot. We need to look into it a little bit more, and maybe make the game a little bit more accessible to the African American youth, because the ones that obviously are in our game, there's some pretty exceptional players, and obviously you look at Jackie Robinson in the Negro Leagues, and it used to be a game where it was really popular among African Americans, and it was. You could see that the amount of talent that came out of that, that pool was incredible. But I'd like to see it obviously get back to that, because, we need more in the game for sure.
Just one last quick follow-up. Do you think that moments like this week are impactful in that hope of bringing in more black? And I'm not suggesting like 6-year-olds are watching the news, but as kids who have played get to be 13, 14, 15, 16, they're making these decisions about what sports they want to play. How important is this week, between the actions of Wednesday, Thursday, between Jackie Robinson today, in showing young athletes that baseball either is or is not welcoming to them?
Yeah, I think it's important, especially being Jackie Robinson Day. Celebrating the first African American player, would be awesome for baseball to really highlight and just show, hey, this is where we were. We got to get back to bringing back, more African Americans into the game, because this man started it all. I think it'd be a really cool highlight to just show the world right now that baseball, just like every other sport, we want obviously more representatives, because there's just not that many, as many as there used to be, and it keeps declining, and we got to find a way to get them back into the game.